My shed is done, and it came out perfect. Every cut was perfect, every measurement was perfect, every decision was perfect. What? Okay, I'm lying. You know my channel, but it did come out pretty good. The list of things I did wrong, however, is surprisingly long. Today I'm going to show you every mistake that I made so that you don't get a chance to make them yourself. Except for the ones I can't admit on camera. Oh, I'm Mike, and what did I do now? Finish building my shed and doing a retrospective. I researched for months before building my shed. I watched countless videos. I knew the general steps and I have decent experience building things. But what I didn't know were all the little details that only become obvious after you've done it once. It's time to go over all the stages of the build and show all the mistakes, misjudgments, miscalculations, and mismanagement. Why? Because I'm a masochist, that's why. No, that's not why. I learned how to build the shed the same way you're doing now, by watching videos. Well, I don't know if I watched the wrong videos or not enough videos, but a lot of things were left out. Most of these were all things that nobody warned me about. We're going to really beat up on past Mike. He's not as smart as present Mike. I mean, technically, future Mike is even smarter, but he's busy fixing past Mike's mistakes. I designed my own shed, but these lessons still apply to using shed plans or even a kit. I was originally going to build a 10 by 10 shed and even had approval from the HOA, but last minute I decided to make it an 8 by 8 because this would save significant money. Only 2 floorboards, fewer 10-foot 2x4s, less roof material, smaller base, etc. And I did save money and some time, but I shortchanged myself on storage. Turns out lumber has this annoying habit of being 8 feet long. Guess what doesn't fit in an 8-foot shed? 8-foot lumber. An 8 by 10 shed would have been a good compromise. Don't optimize for today's budget. Plan for 10 years from now. My original plan for the roof was one plane would face east to get the morning sun so I could put a solar panel up there. Then I turned it 90 degrees because aesthetics beats science. And ultimately, the corner of my yard gets way too much shade for solar. If I would have abandoned the solar idea sooner, I would have went with a modern single slope roof. These are easier to build. They also give more headroom in height-restricted sheds. I also planned on an exhaust fan on the back gable and even bought one. Then realized solar wouldn't work and running a line from the house is a major task that might or might not happen. Want to buy a gable fan? Still due in the box. All it needs is electricity. There were some minor things I regret, but building the base as a trench foundation was one of my better decisions. A shed base can be tall, and the trench buries it in the ground. As for those minor things, patio blocks on the corners leveled out with a layer of gravel would have been a wise way to start. Then it would have been a simple matter of sliding the boards side to side on the blocks to level the rest of the gravel. Speaking of boards, I bought the pressure-treated 2x6s way too soon and stood them up against the fence in the backyard for a couple of weeks. Pressure-treated is pretty wet and standing them up is not the proper way to store any lumber. I turned them into banana boards, or for my Aussie audience, giant boomerangs. I was lucky to salvage 4 pretty straight ones to use for the perimeter. One of my concerns being backed up to a greenbelt was to prevent varmints from nesting under the shed. And the base is sealed off and the goal is achieved. However, it's sealed off too much and there's no ventilation below the floor. I haven't seen any problems yet, but a lack of ventilation can trap moisture, which can eventually lead to rot, mold, or a damp floor. On the bright side, no squirrels. This is where not doing my homework got me nailed. Eh? Okay, maybe I didn't frame that joke properly. Framing the shed was by far the most fun and satisfying part of the build. You go from a flat nothing to a tall something in about a day. Most things were done right, a few were not, due mainly because I did my own design. With purchase plans or a shed kit, you wouldn't run into these first few issues. Can you catch these 3 design errors? The most obvious one is I did a shortcut on the headers. I knew that headers use boards on their side as they are much stronger in that orientation, but I figured just nailing a stack together was easier. Turns out, if building was fast and easy, Pete the structural engineer would be out of a job.
That's not safe.
Go away, Pete. For an 18-inch window opening, this shortcut is unlikely to cause issues. However, there's a 36-inch door opening where a proper header would have been the smarter thing to do. But this is a shed. There's no second story or attic weight putting downward pressure on the header, so the headers will work. If I was to do it again, I would have done it right before showing my lazy shortcut to the entire world on YouTube. Did you catch the second design error? The window openings are missing jack studs. This was my misunderstanding. The king studs run continuously from the bottom plate to the top plate. The jack studs hold up the header. The cripple studs support the windowsill. Basically, I thought cripple studs were jack studs, so I'm missing a set of studs. Leave a comment. Which stud do you think I am? King stud or jack stud? No, cripple stud wasn't an option. The door opening, I did right. Jack studs support the header and they're attached to the king studs. The third error I would venture to say is impossible to see without a lot of experience. The corner by the door did not have room for a nail gun, but a drill driver fit, so all was good there. But the window corner didn't have room for anything. After staring at a roll of duct tape for way too long, I ended up using countersunk screws from the outside stud, but this was a major pain. The proper solution for this situation was a 3-stud corner, which, coincidentally, is the name of my band. The front wall would be initially built with the end stud turned 90 degrees so it can then be nailed to the side wall stud. Then, a third stud is nailed to that stud so you have a proper corner for the siding. Ultimately, this was a convenience error since it didn't really cost me anything or affect the shed build. Another convenience error really frustrated me because I should have known better, but it is what most people seem to do. Raise the wall, then fasten it to the base with 1,000 nails. Then raise the next wall, which is exactly what you do when you're absolutely certain you'll never need to move anything ever again. I've put lots of things together in my time. The convention is you line the screw holes up, put all the screws in loosely by hand, and only then do you tighten everything down. You don't tighten up one lug nut at a time. The same should be absolutely how walls are raised. In fact, I would fasten them down with 2 screws in the corner, and that's it, until all the walls are raised and square, and not warped. That's where this issue showed up. The bottom plate of this wall was warped, and I had to cut the nails so I could straighten it. Cutting those nails just feels so unnecessary because they shouldn't have been there at all yet. But my trick to straighten the wall is cool. The fact is, roof framing was over my head. I mean, where else would it go? I just did not do enough research before designing and building the roof frame. There was a video that showed building rafter assemblies with just 2x4s and gussets, and I was like, cool, simple. Well, that video was lacking structural information and alternatives. At the very least, I should have used construction glue on the gussets. They are supporting the roof with very little mechanical advantage. This design requires rafter ties, which that video omitted. I've since done rafter ties, and I explain it in a little more depth, which you can see here. Then there was this whole thing where I cut the bird mouths too deep. More than 25% weakens the board. I have a whole video devoted to that issue too. If I was to do it again, I would have used a ridge beam. It's a little harder to build, but more standard, and you don't need rafter ties. Either that or a modern single slope roof. Regardless, with the rafter ties, present Mike bailed out past Mike for his really poor judgment. Past Mike is stupid.
Hey!
The siding all came down to one mistake: the wrong fasteners. I used screws, not even exterior screws. I used these gold color screws. I thought they were exterior screws. They pretend to be exterior screws. The box even has this cute little small print: should not be used where surface rust is unacceptable. Isn't that a fun way of saying interior screws? That was so embarrassing I did a whole video on different types of screws and where and when to use them. As for siding, it's intended to be nailed by hand. Being adverse to too much manual labor and also being adverse to a $300 specialty nail gun, I developed a better system for mounting LP SmartSide. Of course I made a video about it. Okay, this is where I stopped thinking I knew what I was doing. It starts with safety. Putting up the underlayment had me envisioning sliding down the slick material and landing on the ground in a heap of injuries. I'd seen several videos and nobody mentioned a toe board. Apparently every roofer owns one, but nobody owns a camera pointed at one. After the underlayment, I did see a video where a guy was using a toe board, but he never bothered to mention it. Like, it wasn't important? Was that a how-to or a look what I can do video? I used a toe board when doing the shingles. You screw it in temporarily through the shingles, and when you remove it, seal the holes with the roofing cement that you have to have anyway. As for the shingles, I laid them back to front because I figured the front was easier to reach to cut off the overlap. I wish I would have went front to back to give the front a nice clean edge and put my jaggy cut mess in the back out of sight. When mounting the shingles, I generally missed the nail line. I thought that was the mark to line up the next row of shingles. Putting the nails too high up the shingle possibly missed the double layer and weakens the shingle, making it susceptible to wind and lifting. Using that nail line incorrectly also resulted in being about a ½ inch short on the overlap. More wind lifting potential. You know, there are instructions on the back of the shingles package. The problem is, the packages are about 50 pounds. I'm curious, but I'm more lazy. Speaking of lifting potential, I should have used roofing cement on the ridge caps. They're only held down with 2 nails. A few dabs of cement would have went a long way. But it's been 6 months and the roof is still intact. If the wind rips them off, future Mike gets another video. If you're a roofer watching this, yes, I know. You were probably yelling at the screen 6 months ago. There weren't really any mistakes on the door, but there was one consideration I didn't think about until working with an 80-pound door. That's a lot of door. If I were to do it again, instead of 2x4s, I would have made the shed frame out of 1x4s, glued to the siding as a laminate. That would have cut the weight down considerably. But the work is done and the door opens and closes fine, and everybody else has an 80-pound door, so moving on. Oh my God, those damn windows! I got overly obsessed with wanting vinyl and didn't listen to the multiple signs to go with a cheaper aluminum frame. A lot of vinyl windows have these double flanges for siding. Didn't want that? Had to deal with that. Now I have a shock of white against my off-white trim. And yeah, I use those gold screw imposters on the window mounting flanges. So embarrassing. My PTSD is kicking in. The windows and I have agreed to never discuss what happened. If you want to know more, see the video. The trim actually went well. No mistakes. Okay, little mistakes, construction-wise, but money-wise, I did have to buy an extra trim board. I had enough linear feet, but I'm not sure if I could have squeezed out that last piece if the cuts were planned better. If I had designed my overhangs to be 8 inches instead of 12, I could have gotten all the soffits out of one 4x8-foot sheet. Instead, I had to buy a second $50 sheet for one soffit. And I could have saved a lot of money if I didn't use LP SmartSide trim and soffit material in the first place. I should have used simple pine boards for the trim and 1/4-inch sanded plywood for the soffits. That would have saved over $200 just for trim. For someone who started this project trying to save money, I sure got stupid with money. You'd think I was sponsored by the lumberyard. And there is just one more thing. My stats show that only my true fans stay for this part, so off you go. We've created an exclusive club here, and membership requires the incredibly difficult task of continuing to watch. Most of you. Okay. Hopefully I've given you some of the details that are missing in a lot of how-to videos and encourage you to do the extra thorough research needed before starting a massive project. What mistakes have you made on your own builds? Leave a comment below so I don't feel like the only one who constantly picks a fight with reality and loses. And hopefully you'll like this video. Yeah, that wasn't very clever. Unlike you, who's gonna like this video. No, I really need to stick with the theme of mistakes, which you won't be making because you're gonna like this video. Oh my God, take a hint. Don't make me beg. Oh, I've got a fan online. Hey, fan, did you like the video?
Sure you built a shed. You sure it wasn't just a giant blooper reel?
Thanks, fan. So is the shed done? The shed is never done. The inside is a mess and I need to get organized with shelves strong enough to park a truck on and cheap too. Oh, but you're gonna miss it unless you subscribe. Then you'll never miss any What Did Mike Do Now? Every Wednesday, noon Eastern. Another mistake I made, waiting too long to upgrade my air compressor. Man, it was so loud.
How loud was it?
Oh, it was so loud that my neighbors thought I was having a shed flown in by helicopter. Tough crowd. I've gotten a better reaction from a stack of pressure-treated lumber. Everybody was wondering where you were. He found most of the mistakes. You're the star. I'm just your Ed McMahon.